Originally released in 2006, Pokémon Diamond and Pearl were the first mainline Pokémon games released for the Nintendo DS to much critical and consumer praise. 15 years, 4 generations, hundreds of Pokémon, a few controversies, and rumor after rumor later, we finally arrive at the remakes Pokémon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. Releasing just in time to hype up Pokémon Legends Arceus, these remakes weren't developed by Game Freak, instead having been outsourced and developed by I Love Computer Arts, or ILCA, which I guess I'm just going to call them ILCA, like the Swiss milk chocolate Milka. ILCA is a Japanese company that has supported major game releases ranging from Yakuza to Dragon Quest, with Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl being the first games that ILCA have developed on their own. And that brings us to the question then, do these remakes justify another playthrough in the asking price of $60? The short answer, no. Alright, so let's get this part out of the way first. I'm gonna try not to talk about the whole discourse surrounding the graphics and the art style of the game, and of course the initial presentation of the game, like the initial trailer. I will be giving my honest thoughts about it throughout my 40-ish hours of playthrough. A quick summary of the graphics and art style for me. I am not really a fan of the chibi art style. I feel like I eventually just kind of got sort of desensitized to the art style of it, but I'd say overall I was just not a fan of it. I mean, the game kind of looks like flat, maybe, has a very like pastel kind of palette color scheme to it, and makes everything look really, really soft, which I didn't really like, but it's definitely a personal thing, I think. I think some people probably would really like this style, but it's just so close to the original that it kind of sucks. You know, we didn't see something like the Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire remakes versus those original games in terms of change in art style from sprites to 3D models. The art style, I would say, is inoffensive. ILCA played it way safe and did what could be called the minimum to not step on anyone's toes or rock the boat too much, and ironically, I would say that actually had the opposite effect and caused a big uproar within the fan base, as you probably know. So something I found weird is that, like, you have the little tiny chibi models, right? But then in battle, it switches to the full-size human models. And then, like, the actual going into the battle, like the little sequence, it's like they made the 3D model pose as a 2D sprite, but then it just cuts to them actually moving to a completely different animation, which, hey, is a small nitpick, whatever, it's a review, it's my review, damn it. Yeah, it's really weird. The stark contrast of the chibi models versus the in-game, or the in-battle models really is a shame, because the models look perfectly fine in battle, right? And there are little things I really liked, like the swimmer trainer who does a volleyball spike on the Pokeball when he throws it into battle. Overall, I would say I'm fairly disappointed in the choice of the art style of the game, since after seeing games from X and Y to Sun and Moon and Sword and Shield become progressively, more and more realized in this full 3D space with full body models and dynamic camera angles, it's very disappointing to see what is basically a regression in that aspect. The water looks nice, though, so there you go, right? Also, when going down the stairs, the area around the character gets, like, fucked up. Like, I don't know what it is. Someone who knows more about graphics and frames and stuff would probably know more about it, but it's just kind of weird. Kind of hurts my eyes. A quick note on the audio/music. I'm pretty sure it's exactly the same. Like, I guess it was, like, redone, or remastered or whatever, but it's, like, hardly noticeable to me, at least. I think people who, I think audiophiles will really understand the discrepancies more, so I'm just going to link a few of the music comparisons. You can see them here, you can compare them yourself. It's whatever to me. I'm not really big, music's there, sounds back the same, whatever. And the animations. Come on, you know where this is going, right? It's a Pokemon game. They're Pokemon animations, you know what I mean? So, overall, graphics, not a fan, disappointing. You'll get the whole sentiment throughout the whole review. The whole thing is just kind of disappointing. Movement and controls. Okay, so technically there is full 3D movement, although it's pretty unnecessary because it seems that the games were built around the same grid as the originals, including building geometry, making the 3D movement very often feel clunky, awkward, and out of place. Controlling your character is weird, since, like I said, the whole world is still on the grid. Moving your character like freely around, you tend to bump into a lot of stuff, people, corners, whatever, very frequently. And even though you, the player, can move diagonally, it doesn't really matter, since you can't even do simple things like walk past a fence.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer?
Another annoying and very glaring example of this is the Galactic team headquarters in Veilstone City. So you see these tiles on the floor, like it looks like you could walk on them, right? Well, nope. Since the geometry is based directly on the 2D version of it, I assume, it thinks that there's a wall there. So you see how when I put the camera like this, so now you can walk past it. NPCs move in straight lines, but in some instances they can be facing diagonally. A weird thing, so it's like they can, but whatever. So in short, when looking at the progress made from X and Y's roller skates to Sun and Moon's rideable Pokemon, the controls and movement in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl are another disappointing factor and are another example of what I would call a regression. There is no touchscreen support in handheld mode for the pause menu, the in-battle menu, or the bag, but there is touchscreen support for the Pokétch and the mining minigame in the Grand Underground. This may have been an oversight, I don't know, because it would have been so easy to put touch controls for the menus in the game. I don't know why. It's another shame, because, you know, using the touchscreen on the DS to like easily pick attacks was a small detail that was really nice in the originals, like just so easily, just, you know, you hit your thumb, like 2 taps on the touchscreen, like done, like easy. Really sucks that it was not used here. It's just a shame, really. These shortcomings in both the movement and the touchscreen controls tell me that, again, Ilka played the very safe route of not touching anything at all to not rock the boat, which unfortunately resulted in awkward collisions, disappointing controls, and only left me wishing for what could have been for these games. The gameplay, well, it's a Pokemon game, so you know how that goes. You catch the Pokemon, you train the Pokemon, you become the champion. It's the same deal, there's no twists or anything, and I had this as its own section because there are some things that I think are worth mentioning, or, I should say, suppose, the lack of the things that I thought were, once again, another disappointing design choice. And those lack of things are what you might have guessed and probably know about at this point, and those would be things like Mega Evolutions, Dynamaxing, Z-moves, regional variants, or really any other gameplay gimmick we've seen in previous games. So I get the no Dynamaxing, that makes sense, whatever, only the special fucking meteor crystals or fucking all whatever the fucking stupid shit. Or maybe even the Z moves, right? But I think it is a real shame that there aren't Mega Evolutions anymore. And what is really the most confusing thing for me are the lack of regional variants, because there are literal Sinnoh regional variants in the Pokemon Legends Arceus game coming up. So, like, what? I don't know. They're not the Sinnoh region, it's the fucking hysterectomy region or whatever it's called. Side note, you know how YouTube recommends you, like, auto-recommend shit to you? I think in the new Pokemon anime, they have a Gigantamax Machamp versus Ash's Mega Lucario. So, like, fuck all, like, they fucking know, you know, whatever. They recognize that it exists at least, so. Does there need to be a gameplay gimmick? No, not really. But I really do wish that were at least regional variants, right? Mega Evolutions would have been cool to come back, but they haven't, of course, and they probably never will. So what will your post-game be like? Pretty much what you got in the original Diamond and Pearl, starting with the National Dex. To get the National Dex, you have to see, you don't have to catch all the Sinnoh Pokemon. This will cause rarer Pokemon to appear in the underground, so that kind of counts as a change, so that's cool. You can catch all the legendaries, like Cresselia, like Pokemon, stuff like that. You can also rebattle the gym leaders and the Elite Four. So here's a point of contention for people, and that's the Battle Tower. The battle tower is where you battle trainers going up in levels and earning points to buy items with those points. And it's just a battle tower, right? And the thing that is upsetting for people is that in Pokemon Platinum, you know, there was the Battle Frontier, which is basically a greatly expanded version of the battle tower with different buildings and different ways to battle. Though, personally, I didn't really do too much in the post-game. I don't know. You know, I didn't really do too much of the battle towers, the battle frontiers. I can very clearly see why this would be, you know, this was an unfortunately missed opportunity, and just like the art style, ILCA have played it very safe to stay as close to the original games as possible. That said, there have been major changes from the original games, right? And I'm going to go over those in no particular order really quick, starting with the follow Pokemon. Pokemon can follow you now, which can quickly increase their happiness / affection / friendship stat. So this is actually a pretty cool addition to the game. It's nice to have your Pokemon follow you around now, and I forget a video I watched recently, but someone pointed out that at this point, it should be a normal feature in Pokemon games, which I totally agree with. There's really only a few nitpicks for me. I think it does suck that we aren't seeing the rideable Pokemon, like I said, like in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, or like in Sun and Moon. But, you know, that's a small nitpick, really. But don't worry if you thought there wasn't going to be anything wrong. Take a look at this Ekans following this player. There are also no more HMs. They are used within the Pokédex now, and this is a very, very good quality of life change from the original. I would say this has no complaints for me, because HMs taking up a move on your Pokemon were a pretty outdated design, I think, and I'm actually very glad that ILCA decided not to include that in the game. Ironically, I still put Surf on my Garchomp and Fly on my Staraptor, so hey, whatever. The HMs are, like I said, they're just used in the Pokédex app now, and it's much easier than before to use them. Like a random Pokemon just comes up and does it, like does the Rock Smash for you, and you go, okay, thanks. And the Pokemon goes, okay, bye. So, really nice, super easy to use. No complaints, very nice change. You can change your wardrobe / style. Okay, you can, this is a change, but you can only change an entire outfit. You know what I mean? You can't change like a jacket and then pants. It's an entire outfit change. You can't individually pick pieces of clothing like glasses or anything like that. So I'm out here looking like Crypto from Apex. You also can't change any facial features or hairstyles unless the hairstyle is part of the outfit that you bought. Yeah, so I'm just gonna use the word, again, disappointing, since you could pick individual pieces of clothing starting in X and Y, so just another confusing design choice if you ask me. The Underground has been expanded into the Grand Underground. This was also a very good change from the original games if you ask me, since originally the Underground was just a fun way to like play with friends and like run around and do shit. The Grand Underground, you can actually like make use out of catching and training Pokemon in there, and also you can mine and make your secret base. You'll come across like these little zones that are like little biomes that have different types of wandering Pokemon, so there's no random encounters in it, which I really liked. And I was able to find some good Pokemon like Togepi, Gabite, and Magnemite. The wandering Pokemon also seem to level like close enough to you where you can train your Pokemon up, so like if you're just before the Elite Four and you need to train your Pokemon or find some new ones, which is exactly what I did, you can go to the Grand Underground. No complaints from me. I think that was a really good design choice. I'm glad they made that change as well. Ramanas Park, which is the post game. This allows players to catch legendary Pokemon from previous generations, and it used to be the Pal Park that would let you transfer Pokemon from previous generations into Pearl or Diamond on the DS. Obviously, it's no longer needed, so to encounter the legendaries, you need to dig up these mysterious shards from the Grand Underground, and then you trade those shards for slates at the park. Then you put those slates, I wrote plates, but whatever, in the pedestals, and that will trigger the legendary to appear. This seems to be the biggest post-game change from the originals. This is fine, of course, since I'm not sure if there's really any other ways to get the legendaries in the game. At least not easily. By the way, it is good that you can catch all of them within the game, and I can show you right here all the legendaries that are available to catch through this park thing. Okay, so now there are some smaller quality of life changes that I think are worth mentioning. They don't really affect the overall gameplay, but they were still important enough that I thought should be noted. There is now autosave when you enter and exit like places or buildings, so that's a really nice feature. Manual saving is also very fast, and you can also just put your Switch to sleep and turn it back on, of course. The game will show you type effectiveness when you choose an attack, so like not effective, effective, super effective, stuff like that. After you've seen the Pokemon you're facing before, it'll also show you the effectiveness when switching out a Pokemon into battle, like after you KO a Pokemon, and then, you know, it's like you want to switch your Pokemon, it'll tell you what's coming up, and if the next Pokemon you pick will be effective. So that's kind of nice. You can swap Pokemon anywhere without going to a Pokemon Center. Also a good change, since you can be more strategic when choosing your Pokemon on the fly. The pause menu now has a mission journal, like at the bottom, which tells you like where to go next. Also a fine change if you ask me. It's not much to say about it. I think some people may want more of the exploration type style of gameplay, you know, not to be pointed to the next objective, but, you know, I personally really don't see anything wrong with this one. So hey, smaller quality of life stuff, good to know. And then we get to, technically I had this listed as a small quality of life change, but it's XP share, and you know, in reality there is a very big discussion of XP share, and specifically that you can't turn it off. I recall another video I watched recently that discussed XP share and people being upset that it can't be turned off, and the official response was, okay, well, just have one Pokemon in your party and train them, idiot. Which, you know, is not the best answer if you ask me, and that's they obviously didn't say idiot, but I mean, you might as well have, if you just, you know, that's the official response, right? It's another unfortunate thing. I'm not sure why they don't just give you the option to turn it off, honestly. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I personally don't mind XP share. However, I of course understand why many don't like it, and the fact that I'm sure it could have so easily just been made an options menu toggle to be turned off or on. So if you want it off, you can turn it off. You know, if you want to turn it on, you just turn it on. I think it could have, again, it should have been so easily done, and this makes it an objectively poor design choice, in my opinion. TMs are single use again. Okay, I'm gonna call this one a quality of life undo, since you could use TRs in Sword and Shield and then have them remember that move for free from the move reminder, whereas in Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, you either have to keep buying TMs or find heart scales for the move reminder in Pastoria City, which they can only remember moves they've learned naturally and not through a TM, so that's shitty. Yeah, I spent a lot of money on the TMs, and finding the heart scales is fucking pain. I found enough to get like one move reminded, and I was like, fuck that, it's not worth it, right? I really wish Ilka had gone with the TRs instead and have moves be remembered for free, but that's my opinion. Those are things I thought that were worth like mentioning. Gameplay wise, I really did not expect to write like a whole ass thing on just the gameplay for a Pokemon game, but these were things I thought were worth mentioning and could be deciding factors for some people. The XP share, I know, is a huge thing for a lot of people. I wouldn't call that a deciding factor, but hey, there it is. Alright, so by this point, I hope, you know, I've made it clear that the impression I got from Ilka and their general idea they had when going into developing these remakes was, do not rock the boat and do not step on any toes. It's clear that Ilka did not want to upset anyone by making the wrong choice, and to do this, Ilka have literally remade the same exact games as before, building geometry and all, except in some instances where there were genuinely good changes made, like the Grand Underground, follow Pokemon, and having HMs be used through the Pokédex. That said, there were very clear missed opportunities, like full 3D models in the overworld, or the Battle Frontier, two things that I think could have greatly increased the perception of these games. More glaring and confusing omissions, like regional variants or full touchscreen support, and these awkward, clunky controls all add up to what I consider to be kind of disappointing games. ILCA have played it safe by making almost a one-to-one remake of the original games, and almost too safe if you ask me, which honestly is a shame because they had a chance to make games to the level of Omega Ruby or Alpha Sapphire remakes. Do I think these games are bad? No, not outright. It's not like the games are broken or anything. These are basically the games we played in 2006, just given a facelift. So, this is why I'd say if you really wanted to replay these games, they're not a bad option. I think there are some good things that were done here, and it has some things going for it for sure. One aspect I think that should be considered is the accessibility of the game, and what I mean is that just the ease of playing it on the Switch instead of having to dig up a DS or 3DS or, getting an emulator. I wouldn't call that a deciding factor by any means, but I do think it's worth mentioning. If you have a lot of games on the Switch and you just, you want to easily play Pearl or Diamond and you don't have an emulator or whatever, like I said before. However, I'll come back to one of the questions I asked in the beginning. Do these remakes and their changes justify the $60 asking price and another playthrough? In my opinion, no, they do not, unless for the very specific reason I just listed for accessibility's sake. Not enough has been done here where I can say, yup, totally worth $60 and the replay, despite some of the good things I've listed. Yes, it's good that HMs are gone, and the Grand Underground is a very good redesign slash expansion, but those factors don't really justify $60 more when there are obvious things that could have been added to really differentiate these titles, whether that have been the full 3D models or the dynamic camera angles, or regional variants, or really anything, honestly. And yes, there will be some level of connectivity with Pokemon Sword and Shield via Pokemon Home, which you obviously wouldn't get in the original Pearl and Diamond, but this won't come until sometime in 2022, and again, even that wouldn't really justify a purchase in my opinion. Objectively speaking, I really don't think these remakes are worth the $60 asking price, given all the shortcomings and omissions. And since I believe that you can vote with your dollar, while also critically voicing your opinion rationally, not in a violent, rude way, I would recommend that if you are playing these games the first time, that you either play Diamond and Pearl in their original forms, or try to get a hold of Platinum if you haven't yet, on the DS or on a 3DS or whatever have you. And if you want to replay these games, then I would still encourage you to somehow play the games in the original form. Whether you do this by playing them on a 3DS, whatever, or an emulator, is totally up to you. I think it's important that we, as consumers, provide constructive criticism and critically look at things, specifically media we consume, consumers, and give the constructive criticism where it is due, so that if there are any remakes in the future of Pokemon games, like Pokemon Black or White, because those are good Pokemon games. If you haven't played them, go play them. Hopefully we can give good constructive criticism, and then for whatever remakes happen in the future, that there will be worthwhile features put into those remakes that make them worth the $60. As it stands right now, in the wake of the GTA Definitive Edition and these two remakes coming out, I think people are starting to realize that more and more, that we can look at these things and be like, this is not what we could consider quality anymore. And specifically speaking for Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they are so one-to-one that it literally doesn't make a difference whether you played these originally or in these remakes. And honestly, the originals may even be better than these, because at least you don't have those stupid, awkward, clunky controls, like I said. And if you have them on a DS or 3DS, you have the full touchscreen support, at least for like the attack menu and stuff like that. So, yeah, in my opinion, these two remakes are not worth $60. You probably should not buy them. I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you really, really want to, if you're a diehard Pokemon fan, go ahead, put me on a stake, do whatever you want. But you shouldn't buy these games for the sake of, supporting a company who's willing to do. I know Pokemon or Game Freak or Nintendo weren't the ones who made it. Ilka made it. I totally get that. Whatever. I hate to bring up the fact that they are the highest grossing franchise. Pokemon is the highest grossing media franchise in the whole world. That's not a one-to-one thing. I know that's not how game development works. Totally fine. Whatever. There is still a reputation that Pokemon should be living up to, and a standard that should be living up to, that after playing these games make me say that these remakes would not be worth it, and you should play the originals if you can. If you cannot, for accessibility's sake, sure, maybe buy them, but there's plenty of ways to play the originals. I highly encourage you to play the originals. Do not buy or play these remakes. My opinion, that's fine. It's my review. Do what you want with it. You know, just let me know what you think too. Like, if you have a different opinion, that's perfectly fine. I would love to hear it. If you think these games were, if these remakes were worth it, please let me know. I would. There are probably points I missed. There's probably things that are better that I miss, or that I, didn't recognize. It is just my hope that with this review and many others, that you can see that, they're not, like I said, they're not worth it. They're not worth the money. Not enough has been done. Whatever, like I said, disappointing, blah, blah, blah. But thank you for watching the review. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye.